Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Pikel with League of Items, and tomorrow is the day we've all been waiting for. The League of Legends World Championships will really begin on October 3rd. So let's take a look at how the groups stand and talk a little bit about predictions going into it. So before we do that, let's go through the pick'ems. I have my pick'ems listed here. This is how I think teams will kind of end up. This is what I think the most likely scenario is. One of the groups is not listed on Bet365 for the winners of groups. Group betting. Let's see if I can find the ABC. It only has ABC, which is kind of weird. So group betting. D is DRX FlyQuest Top Esports Unicorns. I guess they just don't want to take action on that. So if Bet365 created a pick'em bracket based off of the likelihood of teams making it to the next stage, they'd have G2 ahead of Sunning. Then they would have Team Liquid and Machi. So let's kind of think about why the odds are going to be like that. So obviously, as a sports book, not only are you trying to predict what's going to happen, even more important than that is trying to figure out who is going to bet on what team and why. So G2 Esports, the first team overall, G2 Esports is much more popular than Suning around the world because G2 has continuously gone to world championships. They've made it to the finals before. They have popular players. They're probably the most popular team from the LEC. The LEC has a ton of viewers. There was a graphic somebody posted the other day about like which regions were watching the most at Worlds and stuff like that. And it does matter where those fans are coming from. So you had, I think it said 500,000 people watched the play-in stage from North America, and we're in North America. I'm in North America, and Bet365 I think is basing these for primarily their North American audience. So I think that it makes sense to have G2 as the favorite, even if they think that they're not truly the favorite. So at plus 225, they're saying Sunning wins 30 about 30% of the time. They're saying G2 wins about 50% of the time. And I don't think that's accurate. I think that you're getting about 10 points of value at least on Sunning. So I think that Sunning at plus 225 is a good bet. Personally, I don't think I'm going to make that bet because I'm not the kind of person who needs to have um, a bet on everything that I think might happen. That's just not the kind of person that I am. It's not a good way to bet. And the other thing is I know that I'm biased, so I want Suning to win. So if I already want Suning to win, I could just be tricking myself into thinking they have a better chance than they really do. So Suning, the argument for G2 coming out is obviously they've played really well at the end of the summer. They have good talent. They have well-known players. They have players who have shown they can make it to finals. Those are some pretty good reasons. Reasons to be skeptical. Perkz is playing like garbage. That's the first and last reason you need. um, Next up, Suning. Why should we think Suning is going to be the team that wins Group A? Suning has, in my opinion, the best players in the group. They had the best summer out of all four of these teams relative to expectations, and they play in the most difficult region, and they're playing from home basically. So these are all kinds of things that I think should be taken into consideration. I think the home angle is kind of not really that important. It's not a kind of angle that I think is actionable, but it is true that they are playing from home. So if I was saying like Bin against Wonder, for example, I think Bin is better. SFM against Yonkos is SFM is better, especially right now in this meta. Angel against Caps, I think that this is where you can kind of give Caps the advantage. In the bot lane, I think Sunning's bot lane has outperformed G2's bot lane all year, and in a stronger region. So that's very important to remember. Next up, Team Liquid. So Team Liquid Team Liquid played in the play-in stage. They went 3-1, and people are going to remember that the last thing they saw from Team Liquid was in the finals they lost to TSM but it was a close match. And then Team Liquid against Legacy. They beat Legacy, who ended up going 3-1. They beat Supermassive, who was 2-2 and competed pretty well in the knockout stage of play-ins. They beat Mad Lions. People had a very high opinion of Mad Lions, so that's an increase for Team Liquid. And they lost to Brazil. And at that point, nobody really cared because Team Liquid was already like sure to get to the next round. At least that's what people will tell you. In reality, like Team Liquid losing to INTZ should be a bigger deal because if they beat Brazil in that match, they would have guaranteed themselves getting to the group stage of Worlds. So Team Liquid, I think that people will have a higher opinion of Team Liquid getting out of play-ins than they should have, because they as a team from North America on a North American sports book, like we know that people are more likely to bet on Team Liquid than Machi Esports because they're not familiar with Machi. They don't know why they should bet on Machi. Neither do I. So my ranking basically at Team Liquid plus 600, I would avoid this and I would basically bet against them. I don't think that Machi at plus 1,000 is a good bet. It's probably it's a very low number. I don't have it in front of me, but I'm not touching Machi. So I think that if I was going to bet on something, I'd pick Suning. So let's do this. These are all just placeholders because I didn't want to have to separate them out twice. So let's move everybody up a little bit. So I think that for this, I probably need to put it like this. Like I think Team Liquid and Machi are probably both just the losers in their group. G2 and Suning. And then we'll do losers and then the two teams getting out of groups, and then we'll just advance it after that. So next up we have Group B. Damwon Gaming, JDG, Rogue, and PSG Talent. So Damwon, they are a very dominant team, which is similar to Top Esports. Their wins look amazing. Some of the narratives for them: Noguri had a health issue. Last year, they completely failed at Worlds after getting really hyped up. Showmaker is arguably the best player in the world. Canyon's underrated by me. And their bot lane, people have been talking about their bot lane and giving them way too much credit, I think. It'll be interesting to see if they can improve, because that's one of the big issues they had last year. So if Ghost is better than Beryl, or if Ghost and Beryl are better than what they had last year, it's reason to be optimistic. JDG at plus 150. This is another good bet. I like them to win about 40% of the time. I think that's probably under what it should be. I think JDG probably wins this group 50% of the time. So again, 10 points of value. I want to bet on this more than I want to bet on Suning to win their group. Rogue and PSG Talent. I'm not going to make a bet on either of these things, but these are both extremely low outcome scenarios, and you're being paid correctly for it. So let's think about Rogue. Let's get Rogue. So I'll discuss PSG Talent first. So PSG Talent, nobody expected them to do well well, I shouldn't say that. A lot of people were skeptical that they'd be able to play well at play-ins with 3 substitutes. But I feel like looking back, it was kind of silly for us to be, well, not silly. There was more reason to be optimistic than everybody thought. So when you bring in Kongyu and Uniboy from AHQ, you're getting players from another major team in your region who are familiar with your playstyle. You're familiar with their playstyle, and it is a combination, a mid-jungle duo that is very important to have synergy. So it's not like they got 2 random players. That would be like having your starting quarterback and your starting wide receiver both are injured for some reason, and the NFL allows you to get a starting quarterback and wide receiver from another team, and they have a great chemistry, and they just come in and they're instantly slinging the ball all over the place. That's kind of what happened for PSG Talent in play-ins. And for that reason, I could see people having too high of an opinion of PSG talent going into this and saying, oh, like originally we didn't think Damwon or JDG could potentially lose any games, but now PSG talent's in there. Now they have a shot. Like they were able to compete with the other teams and play-ins and blah, blah, blah. That's not an angle that I'm going to take. I just expect that's how I'm going to hear the argument being made. And then Rogue. I think Finn is one of the worst top laners at this stage of the competition. Inspired and Larson and Hansama. I like all three of those players, but think about what we just saw with Mad Lions. Who is the more talented team with more experience? Mad Lions or Rogue? I think it's a Rogue, right? No, they lost. They didn't get to Worlds. So I just don't believe in I don't believe in Rogue. I think a lot of players want to say that Rogue have chances of taking a couple of games in the groups outside of PSG talent. I just don't see it. I will not be betting on Rogue. As a matter of fact, I'll be betting against Rogue. So if PSG talent and Rogue play one another and PSG talent's like 160 or something, I'd probably just bet on that. It seems like good enough value for the money. So let's rearrange those teams. Rogue, losers. PSG, losers. Damwon, JDG. And you might say, hey, Pykel, it's kind of a chalky list. Yeah, I guess it is. But it's not going to be for long, because now we're in Group C. So Group C, we have Gen G, Fnatic, Team Solomid, and LGD. The most important team in this group is LGD. Okay? Now let's figure out why. PSG went 1-3 in the play-in group stage, right? That's very bad. Everybody expected them to do much better. However, in the next stage, they went 3-0, 3-0. Okay? So we have a team that went 7-3 overall. Is that really that bad? 10 games, a 70% win rate? If you had a 70% win rate in any of these leagues, you have chances to get into playoffs and then have a good run in the group stages and get to Worlds. Right now, LGD is extremely underrated. And why are they underrated? They're underrated because people saw the worst of LGD and they're going to say, oh, we can't trust them anymore. Who knows what they're going to play like in the next stage? When LGD plays Fnatic, I'm betting LGD. When LGD plays TSM, I'm betting LGD. And I think LGD is actually a good bet to win the group as well. And this was the case before it even started. Because if LGD made it out, they were going into this group specifically. And when I did a video with the Gold Card podcast guys, and we went over some of the prop bet stuff. And this was probably one of my favorite bets when it was like elevated because there was uncertainty about who was going to be that final team. But I think everybody knew it was going to be LGD. So the line didn't have a ton of extra value. But at 550, they have to win 15% of the time or something. Do you think that LGD could win this group 15% of the time? I think the answer is undeniably yes. You're getting much more value on LGD than Fnatic or TSM. I think LGD is better than both of those teams. I do expect Gen G to get out, but this is going to be a fun group to watch because if either Gen G or LGD shows some weakness and drops a game to Fnatic or TSM, then we start getting interesting outcomes. But for this list, I think that personally, the way that I see things going, that's why you're here, right? Is that Fnatic and TSM will both lose in this group. I think that LGD will make it out and turn it around. I don't anticipate them continuing their struggles. And then in the last group, we can go to Unicorns of Love, who did a very good job in the play-in and group stage, the group stage and knockout stage. So going into this, I was skeptical of Unicorns of Love because I haven't seen a lot of their games, and they were dominant in their own region. So you have to ask yourself, why should I care about their region when they're playing against higher level competition now? And you shouldn't. But we did see some things at Worlds that were kind of surprising. So we didn't see much Graves and Nidalee earlier on from this player, but at the World Championship we see Graves, Nidalee, Graves, Nidalee. So in general, that's a good thing. However, there are juggernaut champions that I think can overpower these matchups. So let's think about Unicorns of Love against the teams that will be in their group. So Unicorns of Love against Top Esports. Who's the better jungler? Ahaha Sick or Karsa? Karsa's the better jungler. Who's the better jungler? Ahaha Sick or Santorin? Santorin's the better jungler, and Santorin's the better Nidalee player. And then we have Ahaha Sick against Pyosik, which is funny. Two sick players. Pyosik's better. It's not a question. Let's do it again. Boss. We have Wukong, Renekton, Camille, Ornn, Renekton. You think a Korean team is afraid of your Renekton? The answer is no. They play against much better Renekton players. Chovy against Nomanz. So who do you like better, Chovy or Nomanz? You like Chovy better. Deft and Keria or Gadget and Santas? You like Deft and Keria better. Deft has been underperforming, but you still have to believe that he's better than Gadget and Santas. Like, how you can't make an argument. You can't make the other argument. And then let's do the same thing with Top Esports. 369, Karsa, Knight, Jackie Love, Chow Chow, Yuyanja. It's going to be Yuyanja, not Chow Chow. Which one of these players from Unicorns of Love is better than anyone on Top Esports? The answer is no one. And then FlyQuest against Unicorns of Love. This is where you might be able to get a win or something. So we have Solo against Boss. I don't care. Say it's 50-50. Santorin is better than Ahaha Sick. Power of Evil is better than Nomanz. Wild Turtle is Wild Turtle. Gadget could very well be better than Wild Turtle. And then last up we have Ignar against Santas, and I think Ignar's better. Ignar is a quality support that has played on the world stage. Power of Evil and Ignar both have good experiences at the World Championship. So if you're going to use the experience argument for anybody, I think you also have to use it for Power of Evil and Ignar. So let's be fair. So for that reason, I think Unicorns of Love is down here. FlyQuest is right here. So these are going to be the losers. And yes, I know this is very chalky. I can't in good conscience do anything other than this. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Why would it go any other way? There's always upsets. I get that. But predicting upsets for the sake of predicting upsets is a fool's errand. All right. So that's basically it for this video. Actually no, let's keep going. So let's rank these 8 teams. So these are the 8 teams getting out. So let's do quarters. Who is going to get into... They're all playing in the quarterfinals. Who's going from the quarterfinals into the semifinals? And I'm just going to pick the 4 teams that I think are most likely to get out of the quarterfinals, not who will get out of the quarterfinals, because I don't know who's playing who, right? But this is where I'll probably say the top 4 teams are Top Esports, Damwon Gaming, JDG, and personally, I believe in Suning. I think, well, I guess I could do it like this. Suning, I think, like, all of these teams down here are interesting for different reasons. I think G2 is probably my least favorite out of this because I don't think that there's any edge on that team. I like Suning the best. I think that I'll be betting on Suning throughout the entire tournament. DRX, same thing. I'll probably be betting on LGD more than Gen.G or G2 because Gen.G already has a positive perception about them. So I'm not saying that LGD is better than Gen.G. I just think that there would be more value in these games. So I want to be on LGD early. So this is really how I expect it to end up. I think unless we get some kind of crazy bracket where all 3 of these teams are on the same side of a bracket for some reason, that 2 of these teams will be in the finals. I think teams that'll disappoint. I think G2 is going to disappoint a lot of people here because they just haven't been playing well. I was pro G2 all year because there was value on them for a while because people had a unreasonably low opinion of them, but the tides have turned completely. and now everybody's being very charitable with them. But that's basically it. So that's my update for the World Championship. Going into the first day of games, which is tomorrow morning. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.